A very good morning, everyone. I'm Rupa, Deputy Secretary of BCIC. On behalf of Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we welcome all the participants for this MSME initiative of the Chamber. We acknowledge the support of the committee leaders of the MSME Council for initiating this session. Our special thanks to Ms. Anubha Singh for accepting our request to address this session. I will briefly introduce Anubha Singh and hand it over to the committee leaders of the MSME Council. Anubha Singh is with AGNIi Mission, that is the Accelerated Growth of New India's Innovation Mission. It is the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. She is the innovation specialist. Anubha leads the initiative aiming to fortify the MSME ecosystem of India by leveraging innovation to address pressing business and operational concerns of MSMEs. Anubha also manages product development partnerships with Indian leading incubators to customize solutions as per the requirement of the target beneficiaries. We welcome you, Anubha. Thanks for accepting our invitation. I will now hand over the stage to Mr. Indushekar, Committee Leader of MSME Council. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupa, and a very warm welcome to all of you towards this program from MSME Council. Before I really get this started, I would request our Vice President, Mr. Ravindran, to share a few words as he has to step out for another meeting. So Ravindran, sir, please, over to you.
Thank you, Indushekar, sir, and thanks to each one of the participants. Chandramouli, past president, is also here. Dr. Jacob Cresta is also here. I have nothing much to add except for the fact that there's a good mission that we are beginning with AGNIi. AGNIi has been a great supporter for us during our startup award. That is when the entire relationship developed. I'm sure it is moving forward, and I do not wish to add anything more, but to ensure that the meeting continues uninterrupted. Thanks to each one of you for joining this meeting, and let's make BCIC AGNIi Mission very, very productive in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravindran. And let me just make a couple of comments here that as MSME Council is trying to continuously explore in terms of what we could offer to our esteemed members. And this is important as MSME is the backbone of India's manufacturing, I would say, the fraternity. And today, competitiveness is becoming extremely critical. So Dr. Ravindran could connect with AGNIi Mission a few weeks ago, and President Mr. Parasudaman San, Dr. Ravindran, and the AGNIi Mission, and myself, we went through one of those discussions. And one thought was that we bring this to our MSME friends, and that way the AGNIi Mission could take through what exactly are their kind of activities that they do, and what are something that could actually be beneficial for us. Maybe how do we see BCIC and AGNIi Mission, not only tying up, but also taking up this activity or engagement to the next level. As you say, Agni is fire, so today the fire in the belly is what is very important, and more apt is the innovation, which is becoming the need of the hour to stay competitive. So without wasting much time, on behalf of BCIC and MSME panel, and of course we do have several other friends from other panels too. We welcome them, and with this I would like to hand it over to Ms. Anubha Singh to take over the proceedings. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, and Rupa ma'am for the kind introduction. If anything, I'm grateful for getting this opportunity to present AGNIi Mission to the members of BCIC, and we hope that in the future we'll have very fruitful collaboration, because the main basis of AGNIi, and I'll start with my presentation in a short while, but the basic fundamental idea behind AGNIi is to ensure that AGNIi can act as a convening body and as a facilitator to ensure that the emerging technologies in India reach the ones who require them. And in this case, I believe those are the MSMEs, because technological upgradation, automation, mechanization, all these are aspects of the industry which we have seen have benefited MSMEs in many of the developed countries. So we just hope that, and we believe that there is already a degree of automation and technological advancement that's going on in MSMEs. But with the kind support of BCIC, we hope to understand a bit more about the pain points that the enterprises are suffering from today, and then identify the technologies which can address those pain points. So to introduce, I'll start with my presentation. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So to start with, AGNIi Mission was actually conceptualized in the September of 2018. It's one of the 9 missions under Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, which is a direct initiative of the PMO, Prime Minister's Office. There are 9 missions under it, as you can see. Many of them all these missions were identified, all these areas were identified after much discussions and deliberation on which areas India needs to fortify its presence in, so as to be at par with the rest of the world. And the following were identified. So out of the 9 missions, 8 of them, if you see, are very topic-specific missions, like artificial intelligence, quantum frontier, waste to wealth, biodiversity, electric vehicles, and the concerned ministries, with the help of the Prime Minister's selected council, which includes many esteemed members, such as the representative, the head of Bharat Forge, Mr. Baba Kalyani, Manjul Bhargav, the head of ISRO, as the advisory body, who would draw the blueprint for its implementation. However, these 8 are still in the advancement phase, because they are R&D, as expected, takes a lot of time to hit the ground running. But if you see the 9th mission, that's AGNIi, and this is a little different from the other missions, which are very issue specific. AGNIi's main mandate is technology commercialization. So we are the National Technology Commercialization Platform. We were not built as a funding agency, because there are many other bodies in India which deal with the work of funding. However, a gap was realized when it came to innovation, because the innovation ecosystem in India, as we have realized over the past 2 years, is thriving now. And unfortunately, and even the public R&D ecosystem is quite advanced. CDAC and Samir and Ameti have some amazing technologies that can benefit the adopters. However, there is not much awareness about this, and we believe that technology has a keen role to play in ensuring that the competitiveness that is required to compete in international market is something that we can bring to the MSMEs via this effort. So AGNIi Mission is the 9th mission under the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council. And this is an initiative under the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Mr. Vijay Raghavan. We are housed at Invest India and executed by the same. Moving on. So this is the AGNIi Mission Executive Council. It has representatives from DBT, DST, Office of PSA, Social Alpha, and organizations such as Mahindra as well. The value proposition that is offered by AGNIi is twofold. One is economic value, and the second is social value. However, we do not focus on one or the other, because we don't believe both are mutually exclusive. We want to create economic value through which we can create a social impact by empowerment of the grassroots community. And our domestic and our main focus is to build the indigenous business ecosystem so strongly and support them in a manner so that we do not rely on outside technologies or outside materials uh, for our own production or manufacturing process. Because during COVID-19, we realized that when it came to deployment of motors or when it came to medical materials, we were to a significant extent dependent on our counterparts from Taiwan, our counterparts from Germany, or the other West European countries. And we realized that that's not a very sustainable model because a lot of our capital goes into importing these technologies when we have we do have the capacity to produce these technologies. However, the problem lies in terms of connectivity. So startups lack scaling capacity, and the people who have the capacity to scale or who require these innovations are not very much aware about the technologies that could perhaps increase their revenue base, help them create a new business model, or increase their operational efficiency. So the economic value that AGNIi offers is from revenue and equity from the science and technology base. We hope to reduce the operational cost. We hope to increase the revenue base. We hope to increase the profit share in the market of the potential adopters via adoption of these technologies. And the social value that we try to offer is upgrading institutional capacity, because we believe that this is the fundamental, this is the soul of AGNIi Mission. We actively work with developmental. We work with a lot of industries like Tata and ITC, but our primary focus is to work with the self-help groups, is to work with the farmers network, is to work with organizations such as NABARD and NACPO, and ensure that the farmers in our country have access to the sort of technologies which will make and innovations which can increase their profit margin, either by making the supply chain more efficient or by making the testing of rice or crops and grains more efficient. So these are the two values that AGNIi as a mission focuses upon. The organization of the AGNIi is as follows. We are divided into 3 verticals. One is technology management, which ensures that we have a constant pipeline of innovations to be supplied as per the demand of our partners. So we might not necessarily have the innovations in our portfolio, but we definitely have the connects to find the relevant innovation within a matter of 1 or 2 weeks if we receive the problem statement. So under the technology management, the stakeholders that we actively interact with are the startups, the research labs, academic institutes such as IIT Kanpur, Rootag Institute, or the accelerators housed at AIM, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, and individual innovators as well. Under the scaling team, of which I am a part and of which the MSME initiative is a part, we focus upon a large network of adopters. So we actively work with accelerators, incubators. We do not work that much with investors, but we are trying to build up our funding. So we are not a funding agency because that's completely out of our mandate, in the sense that even if there are, after introducing the innovator to the adopter, if there are financial negotiations that are to be initiated, we cannot participate in that. We have to take a step back from that because it's a conflict of interest for us. So, but we try to help the relevant actors gain access to relevant financial institutions or venture capitalists if it's within our capacity. However, this is not the main focus of our initiative. We mostly focus upon accessing larger network of adopters that come under NABARD, such as the farmer network under NABARD, the food processing network under NACPO, and the MSME network itself via the assistance of development institutes as well as industry associations such as BCIC. And the last vertical is the technology adoption, which basically tries to assess the demand and even create demand, because sometimes what we see is that the beneficiaries we interact with often say that we require funding for this, but the problem there is not funding. The problem there is loss of revenue due to lack of optimization of the resources that are available. So we help them in optimization of those resources. For instance, if there are waste material or that could be used for creation of value-added products, which can be used in the construction of roads, and we have a technology for this. So that can act as an added revenue for the enterprise. The problem sometimes is not funding. The problem sometimes is just lack of access to the latest advancements that are happening in science and technology. The engagement model of AGNIi is as follows. This is how we work. We invite applications onto our portal on the supply side, and once the innovators apply to us, we evaluate those innovations and we add them to our database and portfolio. However, even apart from this, we have connects with the R&D labs of India, CDAC, CSIR, BARC, and we can source technologies and innovations from there as well. So how AGNIi functions is that first we identify the need, as we told you, by interaction with the potential beneficiaries, and try to frame the problem statements in consultation with them. Post which we disseminate the problem statement to our network of incubators, accelerators, innovators, and even within our own database. If the technology is already available in our database, it's fairly easy. We contact the startup and we establish the connect between the two parties. And then we showcase the technology where the innovator explains more about the technical specifications and details of the particular innovation. And we just de-risk. So if the technology is good, but its size or its features need to be adjusted, we also help with that in terms of customization of a given innovation, because we have tie-ups with a lot of incubators and accelerators who are more than happy to assist in tweaking certain dimensions of the technology so that they become more fit for the usage of our beneficiaries. Then post that, when the financial negotiations go on, we take a step back, but we actively follow up on the deployment of the technology and the impact that it has created on our ground. We have developed our own human development impact index for assessment metrics for enabling for understanding the impact that we are creating on the ground via deployment, via such collaborations that we facilitate as an initiative. The risks that AGNIi usually deals with, are there various risks associated with emerging technologies. One is adoption risk, obviously, because if no one else is using it in the market, there is sort of a disconnect with the rest of the players in the ecosystem in terms of utilization of that technology, or the product that are used, or products that are created using that technology. Second is the technology risk, which comes associated with early adoption of a technology, because pilot opportunities are quite rare in this field, on which, but we have seen that usually the innovations that we have recommended for pilot, the beneficiaries have usually been quite keen to adopt them on a large scale basis as well. Then there are financial risks and market challenges associated with this entire area of understanding the demand for innovations in the country. Now we move on to a few case studies, because we believe that this gives a better understanding of how AGNIi Mission has actually created impact on the ground. So one of our early engagements was between RUTAG and Jaipur Drugs, and this was particularly pertinent for us because I believe this was the first time rural technology from IIT, developed by one of the IITs, IIT Roorkee, was adopted by a particular beneficiary, and we had established the connect with Jaipur Drugs, so that our aim was empowerment of the artisans through the technologies by increasing productivity and reducing the operational risks. And the mechanism we deployed for this was that we engaged with Jaipur Drugs to understand what is the issue exactly that they're facing in the production of their drugs. Then we organized the lab visit for the corporate team to visit the lab, and then the lab customized the technology as per the feedback of Jaipur Drugs, and finally it was piloted, and I think now it is being deployed across the organization for their production process. And it has significantly reduced the drudgery of the artisans, because we adopt a user-centric approach to help the artisans increase the profit margins that they can potentially have via this means of livelihood. The second is the CSE engagement, and this is an example of scale that AGNIi Mission has achieved. So CSCs are community service centers, and these are present in almost all districts of India. There are 4.5 lakh CSC centers in India, and the stakeholders that they provide us access to are the VLEs. VLEs are village level entrepreneurs who have some shared demand and some shared business objective, and to them we pitch the technologies. For them, we organize a series of technology positioning workshops and consultative workshops in which we showcase the relevant technologies to them, and then in the same manner we facilitate its deployment as well. Engagement with MSMEs, our partnership model so far, the things that we are targeting are as follows: access to training. We facilitate R&D focused training at the MSME Training Institute. So for instance, recently we organized a 3D consultative workshop with the Moradabad Handicraft Cluster in Moradabad, obviously, and Firozabad artisans attended it as well. And the idea behind that was uh, not to replace the entire process of handicraft with mechanization or automation, because handicraft then loses its essence. However, the problem that they were facing was in uniform creation of certain products. So we realized that 3D technology could potentially help in creation of those molds and different molds that can create uniform products. And similarly for glass blowing technology as well, uniform coloration was a problem. So we organized workshops with IMMT, NML, and Sacred Institute to ensure that this problem statement is discussed with them and then taken forward for further development. Second is technology positioning workshops, which is fairly simple idea. We understand your pain points. We shortlist the technologies in the particular sector which are required by you. And then we organize a virtual session in which we invite the MSMEs to come and attend. So far we have organized, I think, 7 to 8 sessions in collaboration with DI Bangalore, DI Ranchi, DI Kolkata, DI Thrissur, and a few industry associations as well. Access to public R&D labs is another function of AGNIi, because the public R&D, these labs have some phenomenal technologies which unfortunately do not get the time of the day or the visibility, just by lack of the the issues surrounding it in terms of promoting those innovations and not lacking a central platform to promote and showcase those innovations. So AGNIi acts as that bridge in the gap. Then there are open innovation programs. If the incentives are already set, and this we usually hold with larger industry partners who require startups for a certain specific purpose, and they have the incentives set in advance, such as we'll offer this much financial reward, or we will deploy these technologies for sure. Then we hold open innovation programs for them, which is sort of a technology scouting exercise in which we post the problem statement on our sister platform, Startup India, on which there are more than 45,000 startups. And on that, we host this program where the problem statement is there and then the startups apply. So it's sort of a competition similar to hackathons, and joint knowledge sharing sessions, joint webinars, incorporation of MSME details into the AGNIi database, so that whatever program we are running, we send out a fortnightly week letter. We just want to ensure that that information reaches the beneficiaries. This is an example of the technology showcase that we held with DI Thrissur. The focus sectors were food processing and plastics, and more than 100 MSMEs attended, and 97 expressions of interest were captured, out of which I think the conversion rate is a little low, because many interests are expressed, but the conversations are not taken forward. So I think out of the conversion rate is a little low, but we are working on that, how to improve it in terms of engagement. And this is the example of the consultative workshop that AGNIi held in collaboration with Forge and EPCH. Forge is a leading incubator. EPCH is the Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts in India. And we showcased, we basically explained more about the role that 3D printing can play in prototype development, as well as product modification and customization. So the way forward that we see is that I would be very happy. My email ID is mentioned in the last line, anubha.singh@investindia.org.in, and I would be really grateful if we could initiate some sort of collaboration with all the representatives of the industry associations who are currently or all the MSMEs who are currently attending this. And in the future, we want to understand, so we want to take a particular sector, such as, let's say, auto or IoT or electronics or food processing or equipments, and we want to hold a showcase in collaboration with BCIC as per the requirement of the MSMEs in each sector every month on a rolling basis. So this is the way forward that we see for engagement. Sir, if you have any comments or if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer it. Please.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anubha Singh. What we could do is open up the floor for Q&A, and then come back onto this. Please go ahead with your questions. Right.
Shekhar, can I start?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Shekhar Krasna.
Yep, sir.
Thank you very much, Anubha Singh, and this AGNIi Mission, especially for MSME, implemented by our Prime Minister Modi, in line with Invest India and local to local, and commercializing our Indian technologies. Take, for example, in the olden days, our temples, the architecture what we had. Take, for example, our say palaces, the artwork and the artisans what we had. And here, as you rightly stated, whether it is the Jaipur rugs or Moradabad artisan, or take it our Chenpatna toys, or even our Mysore silk, or our Mysore Park. So there are so many technologies here. Now, if Bangalore can have highest startup happening, so that means we have a very good knowledge hub in Bangalore and in Karnataka. So we have to reap the fruit out of this, and especially this AGNIi Mission will definitely give a solace to this MSME. Indu Shekhar being a chairman, I am the co-chairman of MSME Council in BCIC, and correlating with all our industry association, and implementing this AGNIi Mission will be a boom. And when you say that there are 11 crores of MSMEs registered and unregistered, contributing say 45% of employment and 38% of exports from MSME, and contributing to the GDP to the extent of 26%. So that means it is a huge potential in MSME. Say over a period of, say, after independence from 1947, public sectors have really contributed to MSME, and MSME has grown. But out of this 11 crores, say 75 to 80% of MSMEs are job workers. Okay, fine, let them do the job workers. But look at this our research organization. Take, for example, say Defense Food Research Lab, take or the Central Food Research, the CFTRI, or even our CSR lab, or even CMTI, or Defense Research Labs. So these are the research labs, do the research and put the research inside the cupboard. Probably this AGNIi can help this kind of linking of this research institutions, incubators, and the students from the colleges, where they could be linked up and join the points wherein a lot of innovative ideas will implement and get into the action. Now, in order to upgrade these MSMEs and the technologies, where this kind of technologies are available should be commercialized, and MSME requires a helping hand. I fully agree with you, Anubha Singh, that say the commercialization of the Indian technology what is available, along with the taking MSME in line as a track going in parallel, will definitely boom our economy, and $5 trillion economy is definitely possible if MSMEs are handled and move forward. major challenges, MSME cases, the fund, of course, you rightly stated, funds is not in your domain. Doesn't matter. We as a BCIC, funds arrangement can be done because we already have a council through which we can move forward. But the technology innovation, be it 3D printing, be it machine learning, artificial intelligence, these are the things should flow down in MSME so that the MSME can be comparatively competitive when compared global marketing is concerned. And that's my wish. Let's do it better. Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar and Basu.
Thank you, Dr. Kresta. I see our past president Devesh Agarwal raising his hand. Over to you, Devesh ji.
Good morning, sir. A
morning
fantastic
to you
program.
too.
Thank you. Ms. Singh, welcome to the BCIC. Just to give you a small introduction, ma'am, I have been in the business of innovating electronics out of India for now more than 25 years. I created India's first industrial handheld computer, and I'm probably I'm a winner of the Lockheed Martin Innovation Award. I'm probably one of the only SMEs in this country that can make a claim that my product has been used on all 7 continents, including Antarctica. I was keenly listening to your presentation, and I don't mean this in any critical form. I wish to just this thing. I was going to say you took a lot of names, but they're all very large companies. I do wish the AGNIi Mission, involves small companies in terms of, in its management council, because the problems faced by small companies, especially when it comes to resources in the time of development, and I'm not talking about money, but are very different than what a large company can raise in the form of, I'll give you something as simple as, there was a product, ma'am, that all the C-dot vendors, when they were making telecom switching equipment for rural areas and all, that they had to literally pay the vendor in the United States almost 1 year in advance, pay them over $100 per memory module. And the materials head of ITI one day just coincidentally walked into his office, and he was looking, very very haggard, very hassled. So when I asked him, I said, he says, this. So we developed a replacement, went to CDOT, and guess what? All the testing requirements, we had to go to Singapore to complete them and bring the test reports back to them. The facilities at ETDC and Samir are good, but they are run in a very bureaucratic manner, and they definitely need to be more industry reactive. You're talking about, import of technology. You're talking 3D printing now, for instance, handicrafts. It is, who is making a 3D printer in India? We have to begin with, I think, core items that will sustain the entire innovation ecosystem. And definitely, I feel AGNIi should focus on that. There are, as I said, test requirements. There are people who are trying to make 3D printers in India. These are the kinds of, I think, innovations that AGNIi needs to sustain in order to build that entire ecosystem from scratch. If we're going to take on China, we have to build the ecosystem from the foundation up. I would love to hear your responses, ma'am.
Sir, we definitely agree that the process of licensing from government labs is extremely bureaucratic. We agree with that. But it used to be bureaucratic initially, but now, at least in my experience, sir, we worked with MeitY closely, Dr. Chatterjee from MeitY, and after a 2-month exercise, we basically drafted a technology transfer guidelines, and MeitY wanted to transfer its technology at zero cost to the adopters. And MeitY wants to open its facilities for testing and other facilities for industrial development or for technology development and product development free of cost to the MSMEs in a given area. So we believe that the labs also realize that this is an issue, and we at AGNIi actually organize convening activities with labs as well. We help them draft the technology transfer guidelines for easy transfer of technologies that is currently under review at MeitY. So we hope that at an organizational level, we try to, so in government institutions, there is very little that one organization can comment on the functioning of another. But as much as within our
If I
mandate,
may interrupt briefly, ma'am, I'm talking
sorry,
about, I'll
sir.
tell you, no, if I may briefly interrupt you, see,
Yes,
where
sir.
government labs can play a huge role is in testing and certification. See, I'll give you an idea. What I'm trying to say is that if I'm exporting products overseas, I have to comply to norms of, you would have seen at the bottom of every electronics equipment, it will say this equipment complies to FCC Class B certification or Class A certification. Or it
Yes.
will have the CE logo, which requires me to comply to a test standard called CISPR 24 or EN 55026. Now, these are the places where entrepreneurs, one, need help in terms of what are these standards, how can we make products to live up to those standards, and then testing to live up to those standards. The foreign companies like your all your various the TUVs and all these test companies, they offer these facilities. Guess what? They outsource it to somebody and charge you 3 times the price, 4 times the price. It is cheaper for me to go overseas, conduct the test, and come back than to get it done in India. So my suggestion is, see, it's like this. If I make a product and I want it to comply to BIS norms, somebody has to help me with the testing and ensure that it meets BIS. But BIS is limited to India. If I have to go overseas, I have to comply to ISO standards, and say the United States uses FCC and UL. These are the big markets. If I'm going to export to the world, which I am doing, I have to comply to global standards. And this is where things are very, this is the kind of core infrastructure that government can deliver and should deliver.
So we'll definitely pass on this feedback to our higher management, and we'll see whether. So the problem is that our mandate is very defined, in the sense our work is primarily to do with technology management and innovation deployment, and ensuring that the emerging technologies in India, people are aware about it. But when it comes to testing and regulations, we did work with these agencies a little during COVID, and I completely understand the point that you're making. Um, so whenever, wherever possible, we will definitely try to assist the MSMEs in our capacity. But I just, to be very honest, from the get-go, there is very little pull that we have with in terms of changing the processes of other organizations. But that's also something, but since we speak to them regularly, this is definitely a feedback that we can pass on to them in a very diplomatic manner, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely pass it on, sir.
I'm saying this is where the government should put a lot of focus in developing, because these are the places where foreign governments incubate innovation in their country by making these, as I said, testing and certification for a product developer is a one-time affair. Means in the life cycle of the product they do it once. It is not something that they can afford to invest a complete lab in. So these are the kind of shared resources which I'm saying that this is what you should take back to MeitY and all that. These are the kinds of things that they have to work on improving and increasing. And in any way, shape, or form, if I can help you on your council, I'm very, very happy to participate.
Sure, sir. And sir, to the second point about working with larger industries, actually, when we started out, the focus was it was easier to access them than to access larger networks of like MSMEs or rural, or the farmers network, or BLEs through CSE, or the farmers networks through the BART. But now our focus has shifted. So Team B is actually just dedicated to listening to the grievances of the stakeholders that you mentioned, and not the larger industry players.
No. As I said, in any way, the SMEs can help you out in also helping in your policies and the ways you all approach and reach out. I mean, what you're doing reminds me a lot of what was done earlier by an institute out of the University of Texas called the IC squared, IC2 Institute, which the focus of that institute is specifically training on commercialization and taking products to commercialization, moving products from concept to cash, you know, and
Yes, sir.
assisting innovators with that. That is something that I learned a lot from the Lockheed Martin program. That is where they focused a lot of effort on. And I'm very happy that this is being done here as well.
Yes. So we hope that in the future we'll be able to work with the SMEs in terms of the innovation management as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devesh ji. I think very, very nice perspectives, and that was also very, very important.
Yeah.
And
Indushekar ji, you as a
yes, sir.
person from Volvo will appreciate the need for testing, even in the automotive space, how much we test
I
to
agree.
make sure that, we comply. I mean, I think
Yep.
if a product has to come, it undergoes more than 2 or 3 years of testing before it's
Easily.
put on a vehicle.
Easily, sir. Easily. Yep.
So test facilities are very, very, and that is something only government can best do.
Very right, Devesh ji. So, anyone else has, let's say, Prakash, you are there, and Dinakar, any questions from you?
No, I think it was quite an interesting discussion. Thanks a lot, Indu.
Yeah. Thank you, Dinakar. And Prakash from Toyota, I had seen him. So. Okay. So one thing that was running in my mind as Anubhav was presenting it is how do we get through the next steps? So what we will do is one thing is on Industry 4.0, maybe we can connect with that panel, and then also some of those which came up basis the discussion from Devesh ji, that also we could explore. So I would say, with this introductory kind of awareness of what AGNIi is and, what are the opportunities that we could explore, we will come back to you with some kind of plans to take it to, the next kind of an, I would say, action item. So what I would now request is Dr. Krasta, if you could take over and then go ahead and do the wrap up of this program.
Indushekar ji, just may I interrupt very briefly?
Please, sir. Please, sir.
Over the last 2 years, Manas Dasgupta and Richa Sarna have been doing tremendous work on conducting hackathons amongst colleges and all. And in fact,
Yes.
I see a lot of synergy between what Anubha ji just said, because a lot of our hackathons were based on social innovation, i.e. innovation that could have social impact. So it would be good to bring these people in because they too will have this thing. And of course, if you recall our BCIC Emerging Star Awards.
Yep.
So these, I think, would be also a good place to bring our startup members and, as I said, involving Manas and Richa in terms of, connecting them with AGNIi. I think there's a lot of synergy there.
Sure. Thank you very much, Deveshji. I shall do that. Yep. Over to you, Dr. Krasta.
Thank you, Dishekar, Chairman of our council, MSME Council, and thank you very much, Anubhav Singh. AGNIi Mission will definitely bring in a lot of fire in the belly of an entrepreneur. Those were the days where the Chalta Hai was the funda in MSME. It is gone now, because especially after demonetization and GST and this pandemic, all these Chalta Hai program is gone. Industries have been really thinking differently to come up, and this is the right time that AGNIi Mission has come, and BCIC in the MSME Council along with manufacturing 4.0 and the IT committee will join together to implement this AGNIi mission in our BCIC and spread this all over Karnataka. So BCIC is not for scheduled only for Bangalore city, it is for the entire Karnataka. And as a Karnataka, as a MSME Council, here, will along with the support from other associations and its members, we will make this to happen as the AGNIi mission spreads and the technology improves in MSME to reach the $5 trillion economy. And that's the wish of our government, is the wish of our BCIC Council, and is the wish of our whole entrepreneurship, what we have in mind. So thank you very much, Anubha Singh. And we will definitely go next step after you have made this presentation, which is an excellent and awesome presentation, which is really innovative, especially for AGNIi mission. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, our chairman Indu Shekhar, as well as Devesh, our immediate past president of BCIC, and our staff from BCIC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Krista. So with that, we will close this program. Once again, thanks to Anubha Singh. So we will come back to you very soon. Some connects also provided by our immediate past president. So we will make sure reaching out to you very soon, ma'am. Thank you all for attending this program.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Rupa.
Thank you, Krasta sir, Indu Shekhar ji, lovely program. Anubha ji, thank you for coming and sharing your time with us.